snowflake storm.
Thank you so much for taking the time. This is one of my favorite movies of the year, like hands down.
Thank you.
And I really didn't know anything about Bob Dylan, so I was completely invested and intrigued. I love the relationship, how it gets contentious between Joan and Bob. But can you talk about how that maybe shaped their dynamic and the art that they created together?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think Joan was this incredible musician. She had a massive career and was very well known in the entire music scene, not just the folk music scene. And she needed new music. I mean, she was this budding activist. She wanted to be saying more with her, you know, and embracing this platform that she had. And then Bob came along, and he's this sort of like vagabond, messy kind of boy. And yet he had this incredible charisma and had a lot to say and was finding words to say the things that I think Joan was feeling, and you know, everything that she was wanting to say. And so, and he has spoken, you know, about admiring her voice so much. And so I think the two of them were just sort of like magnetically drawn to each other.
Yeah, and especially that in the Gaslight when she finds him there, and then that night becomes a whole thing. What do you think it was that she was feeling in that moment when she saw him there?
I hesitate to speak about what the character is feeling in a moment, just simply because I don't want to rob the audience of the experience of receiving what is there in the film. You know, I think there is a lot going on there, and I worked with a lot in that moment, and I think, you know, like, especially as you say, you know, this is sort of your introduction to Bob, and I wouldn't want to place what her feeling is on anyone. I like that there's sort of a bit of mystery there. I think also one of the beautiful things about Joan and what makes her such an interesting performer is that you never really know what she's thinking, but there's definitely something going on all the time. And I think that's what really draws me to her live performances. And the fact that I'll never know what she's thinking is like kind of a part of that magic, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of the live performances, you guys like recorded these performances live. Can you talk about like the authenticity that adds to the film?
Yeah, I mean, I really, my hat goes off to our sound department who was willing to roll the punches on that one, because it can be very challenging. And they didn't overly curate the sound, which I think is a wonderful thing because it preserves a very folk-like quality. And yeah, I mean, it was very anxiety-inducing to know that we'd be performing live, but they told me from the beginning, and we did a lot of pre-records and worked a lot, and I found little moments, like very few people that I sort of sang live to kind of try to get through some of that nervousness. And I was really lucky. One of the first things that I got to do when we got out there in New York and Jersey was I got to have a music rehearsal with Timmy. And so we sort of went through some of that together. And so one of those early spaces of performing live in front of people was with Jim and our sound department and our music producer. And I got to sing alongside Timmy. And that was just like a wonderful experience. That felt like, okay, we can do this. Yeah.
Time, you're just so fine.
They just want me singing Blowing in the Wind for the rest of my goddamn life.